because I had gone through a divorce, my financial situation changed fairly drastically. And travel being my passion, I had to figure a way to keep it in my life because it is such a soul fuel for me. Soul fuel, oh my gosh.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, the podcast where we celebrate aging with vibrance and we defy the stereotypes of what it means to age. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, a psychotherapist of more than 30 years, here to introduce you to my off-the-mainstream guests who will energize and inspire you. My hope is to create optimism about getting older and help you cultivate zest and joy in this season of your life. And I love to hear feedback from you, my listeners. Please drop me a line at zestfulaging@gmail.com. I read every single comment. And to find out more about this podcast, hop on over to zestfulaging.com. What if you had a major life transition in middle age and then you decided to sell your worldly belongings and buy an RV and travel around the country solo? Would you be that brave? I don't know if I would, but here I am on the Nelson Swamp Trail in Cazenovia, just having been introduced by our mutual friend, Sue Parker. She is like the zesty connector of all good things and good people. You may remember her. She's the hotshot firefighter who actually kind of did a similar thing. And here's a tidbit that I love. How did Sue and Kathy meet? Well, of course, Sue reached out when she saw that this woman online had the same obscure trailer brand. So that's the secret, reaching out, making connections, even if it's a little bit of a leap. So I get to do these really fun things being a podcaster, as you know, and right now I'm going to talk to Kathy and we're going to talk and walk and look at beauty. So she really is a force of nature behind the wheel of a massive F-150 towing her 25-foot travel trailer through the landscapes of the American West. And the thing to know about Kathy that really piqued my interest is she is a very serious journaler. It's a morning ritual, and she credits the book The Artist's Way for showing her the power of journaling. And I have always had an interest in journaling, and in fact I did my master's thesis on the health benefits of journaling, so I'm always interested to hear more about that. So I love how we met, and now we're walking on a gorgeous wooded trail, and I want to say hey and thank you for being on the show.
It's my pleasure.
So you've been having some fun, I hear, with Sue. What are the kinds of fun things you've been doing?
Well, we did a group mandala last night. That was first time I've ever done that. And it was just such a moving experience. I had absolutely no expectations. And it just turned out beautifully.
And that was solstice.
It was a solstice. And it was a very organic process, and people brought different ingredients, most of which were flora and fauna, with the odd colorful plastic something, and it just turned out so beautiful, and now it's gone.
It reminds me of that Japanese practice of drawing in the sand and and sweeping it away.
Very similar.
Yeah, the impermanence.
Very similar. It was a lot of fun. And then we went outside and had a drumming circle around a fire. And that was really beautiful as well.
And the woman that organized this is someone who is probably going to also find her way onto Zestful Aging. That's Meg Tobin. Shout out to Meg. And so let's let's talk, Kathy, about your life decision, which was roughly 6 or 7 years ago.
Actually, the decision was made to commit to preparing for this lifestyle in 2017.
So talk about how that happened, because I'm always curious, and I often will ask, when did you know?
I became curious in 2016 and started researching on YouTube. And because I had gone through a divorce, my financial situation changed fairly drastically. And travel being my passion, I had to figure a way to keep it in my life because it is such a soul fuel for me.
Soul fuel. Oh my gosh. So you had traveled before in your previous life?
Much, quite a bit. And as a child, my parents planted that seed, and it has flourished in all my brothers and myself.
So this is in your blood already. You've been a traveler, an adventurer. This reminds me of our mutual friend, Sue Parker, who started early.
Yep, she's quite the adventurer as well. It was what drew us to each other. It was a Facebook page for solo women RVers, and I hadn't even left yet when I met her.
So, but take me, okay, so a lot of us have gotten divorced. A lot of us have had financial changes. Take me through the steps here.
Well, it began with research. And once I made the mental commitment that, okay, this is what I want to do, I didn't want to purchase a brand new camper. So I purchased a 1989 Terry Resort that was 14 feet long. Sort of tricked out the inside a little to make it more appealing.
Is that like pimped out?
Kind of. And I decided I'm just going to shoot my shot and try to get a job in my most favorite place in the world. And that was Yellowstone National Park.
You had been there before.
My parents lived in Big Sky, so it was a part of our lives. And that was the first and only application I put in. They called me that afternoon.
Oh my gosh.
And I got a job with Delaware North, which is a vendor who services the general stores in the park. And I got a job as a cashier. It had been years since I'd been a cashier.
But you had already been in manufacturing, and like you were living a different kind of life than maybe one would imagine a cashier could afford.
Right. Well, I was the administrative person for a company that my ex-husband and I shared. And it was his business before we got married, so it was his business after we got married, or after we got divorced. And I needed to figure out who I was as a not married woman. And that's what the whole journey foundationally has been about.
How does one start that process? There are so many women. And you may have heard the expression gray divorce, right?
What is the expression?
Gray divorce,
I have
meaning
not heard that.
Okay, let's sit in a it's a sort of late middle-age phenomenon that's become significant, is that many people are finding themselves divorced in their 50s or 60s, and like you, they are really at a place of starting over financially, socially, everything.
Redefining yourself, because we're not the same people we were when we got married. So after 12 years, who am I now without a husband, without stepkids, without all those responsibilities? And I decided to just commit to figuring that out. And I quit dating and just decided I'm going on the road. I'm content to spend quite a bit of time alone doing this work. And as it turned out, it doesn't have to be alone. You make quite a few friends. And I've gotten to try different jobs that I never would have. When I went to Yellowstone, I took the job as a cashier, but if I'm honest, it was way too people-y for me.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't.
That's not what you were there to do, is to meet tourists.
Meet my needs. Or at least I didn't think I could be happy doing it for a whole summer.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a couple of other jobs available, one of which was the janitor. It paid better and it was independent work. So that's what I took. And I spent the summer of 2019 as a janitor at Grant General Store in Yellowstone.
Was there any sense, and we've talked a little bit before this, and I haven't heard any resentment about, hey, I used to have a lifestyle like this and now I'm a janitor. I don't hear that that was a loss particularly.
No, it was an adventure because it was something I'd never done before. I just had made the decision, whatever I'm going to do it with gusto. And so I was the janitor with gusto.
That's the title. That is going to be the title, the janitor with gusto. Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful, beautiful phrase. So what is gusto for you? What does that mean?
It's a certain level of stimulation that nobody is responsible for but me. I'm either going to please myself and make my life interesting to me according to my standards. Or, if it's not that way, that's also on me. And I thought, nope, I'm going for the gusto.
You talked about having the opportunity as the janitor with gusto. Oh my gosh, I love that phrase. To be out in the parking lots when other people weren't there and you got to see some pretty great things.
Yellowstone is a magnificent place to even visit for a day trip or a couple of days. To be able to stay there for 3 months, I'd get up in the morning and head out to the parking lot to pick up cigarette butts and garbage. And I'd have to wait till the female elk and her baby walked across the parking lot. And one night we had to drive all of the kids home to the dormitory that didn't have vehicles because there was a grizzly bear in the area and they couldn't walk on the boardwalk through the woods. It was just an amazing 3 months. And, because you're used to going there as a tourist and it's rushed and see as much as you can, squeeze it all in. I got to go places and go sit on a hill for 4 hours and watch bison just mull around. And it was so relaxing and so inspiring. And the journaling just exploded. The more I fed myself with stimuli, the more it fed my brain.
Well, it sounds like you were in a state of bliss and inspiration and gratitude.
I was also very excited about my life for the first time since I got divorced. I was excited about it. I was excited about the next job, which was as a worker at Amazon Fulfillment Center in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And after that was a front desk agent at a hotel in Cody, Wyoming for the summer. And then maintenance person at a resort in Southern California. There are so many jobs available to RVers out there that you don't have to be unemployed if you don't want to be unemployed.
Hey, Zesties. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one feeling tense and anxious these days. Every day, it seems like there's more scary news. Well, I've been a psychotherapist for over 34 years, and I've learned a lot of techniques to help manage anxiety, and I've been using them. But recently, I found something new that I wanted to tell you about. I actually just stumbled upon it at an event for veterans. It's a little breathing device called Calm Ego. And when you're breathing in a way that promotes relaxation, which is basically long exhales, it lights up. And you can add a calming scent if you like. So Calm Ego is a natural, portable, drug-free solution that can be used in moments of upset, anxiety, and stress. And it's effective and pretty unique. And you can use it for both immediate relief and also long-term effectiveness. So I love that you don't have to think about the breathing. You don't have to count. You don't have to imagine a square. You really don't have to do anything. It does all the work for you. I find it to be especially helpful before bedtime, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm partnering with Calm Ego to offer you a 25% discount if you use the coupon code Zestful when you're cashing out on the site, which is Calm Ego, CalmIgo.com. And please let me know about your experience. I will be interested to hear. Thanks. And how do you know? Is there particular requirements for you when you're looking for jobs and you need a little cash flow? What are you looking for?
Mostly I'm looking for a job that is in a place that I want to be. The job itself was not a priority. I didn't have anything specific in mind. In fact, I kind of liked the things that just sort of organically unfolded. Front desk agent and maintenance person and janitor and server at a steakhouse. And with Work Camper News, which is the primary resource for full-time RVers to find work, always, if I'm not working, it's because I'm not feeling like working. And if I am, it's because I picked that place, and whatever jobs they had available, I just took whatever was most appealing to me and ran with it.
And so it sounds like your primary goal was location. Where's going to be beautiful for me to discover?
Yes, primarily it was location. I wasn't going to take a job anywhere that I didn't think could sustain that level of stimulation for the entire time I was there. And I've had no problem filling that bill.
So will you describe like a day on the road for us?
It's actually kind of fun. I pick a few podcasts that I want to listen to and set a course. I used to do about 300 miles a day, and now I'm down to under 200. It puts me in a campground by 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have the rest of the day to wander around, see what the place is like, maybe eat somewhere. And that's a day on the road. I usually stay one night, but since I've been traveling with a traveling companion, we often stay 2 nights just to keep from getting weary on the road.
And so you look at a map and say, there's a campground 200 miles from here. Let's set a course.
Sometimes we go to campgrounds. Oftentimes there is another organization that caters to RVers called Harvest Hosts. And Harvest Hosts is an organization that provides overnight stays from businesses such as wineries, distilleries, breweries, museums, farms, ranches, Airbnbs, who let you park there. Some of them, in fact, many of them now come with electricity. They ask you to make a $30 purchase at the stop as a gesture of thanks and gratitude for having an interesting, really nice place other than a campground to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that membership is a full-time RVer's best friend.
Do you have a sense, and maybe this is too generalized, but you've met, I'm sure, a lot of other people on your journeys. You're staying at these places that cater to RVs. You're on the Facebook. Is there a general, personality type of someone who is a full-time RVer?
Well, having an adventurous spirit is a common thread.
Mm-hmm.
You don't pretty much have to twist anybody's arm to go do something fun in these locations. And there's a sense of community when you have a group of people who have a similar lifestyle. You're all working together at the same location, and oftentimes they provide a campground for work campers.
I think you were talking about there's definitely a community or a common thread, you already know you have some similar characteristics.
Yes,
yeah.
You know you're going to have that in common. And it doesn't apply to everybody. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different objective for going on the road and how they want to spend that time. And it's a beautiful community for the amount of time that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody drives off and you have 25 new Facebook friends.
It's funny. We started talking about the impermanence of the Mandela, and it sounds like there's some impermanence here, too, as you meet these people. You may even share a meal or an adventure, and then you all go off.
It is. It's kind of like, not taste testing, because you do have 5 or 6 months to bond with them, and you stay in touch, but it's a different kind of in touch than when you're working together and you have that also common thread.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been hands down the most satisfying 6.5 years of my 62.
Mm-hmm. Are you aware that other people have seen you and heard you and said, I want to do that too?
Lots of people say that. Oh, I wish I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep thinking to myself, and I've said it to them, because, for heaven's sake, if I can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can definitely do it.
What does that mean?
If somebody had told me 15, 16 years ago that I was going to be living in a camper, working in different places, driving across the country, I think I'm up to 7 times now, back and forth, I would have laughed in their face. And it wouldn't have appealed to me at that time.
Interesting.
It was the prospect of losing travel in my life that set me on this path.
It was a necessity, so you figured it out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I never have regretted it. But I'm sure there's an end, there's an expiration date to it. Don't know when that is yet, but when it gets here, it gets here.
Do you have any sort of bucket list adventures that you're planning?
My bucket list has taken quite a hit in the last 6.5 years. I've really seen and done a lot of things.
Your bucket list has taken a hit.
It is, but the weird thing about bucket lists is the more you do, the longer it gets. So check off 1, add 2.
Oh.
It's like, well, this is not as productive as I thought it was going to be, but what a problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
So I've checked off so many bucket list items, and then through meeting people who also travel and hearing their stories about places that really touched them and impacted them, that goes back on the list, and I'm not really down any. I suppose, if that's the downside, I could do a lot worse.
Mm-hmm. What is it about travel that makes it so, you use the word, was it soul feeding?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Because I'm not as much of a traveler as you are, but I share that curiosity, like how do other people live, and what's their day like, and what's their landscape like? What's your understanding about what makes it so, I think profound might be the word?
Well, I had an objective, which, like I said, was to figure out who single Kathy was. And I was dedicated to excavating that answer until it was crystal clear. And I'm still doing it, because nothing ever stays the same. I continue to change as I continue to search.
Okay.
So
it's a moving target.
It is a moving target. That's a great way to put it. It's a moving target.
What have you learned so far that might have surprised you?
How capable I am of handling a crisis alone. I have never been one to not reach out and go, help! If there's nobody there but you, that's who you depend on. And for instance, my very first night on the road, May 19th, 2019, I drove from Gold Canyon, Arizona to Kanab, Utah. And my objective was to overnight dry camp with no hookups in Pink Sands National Park. They told me where I could go. It was going to be free. And I went and managed to get not only my truck, but my camper stuck in the sand about a foot deep.
Mm.
And I was mortified and, had a good cry. And then I thought, well, that all helped you how? So my phone didn't have a signal, so I had to walk until I had a signal. I called the ranger station, and to make a long story short, it ended up taking 2 trucks pulling me sideways. Embarrassing? Yes. But as I drove away, what went through my mind was, you handled it. You handled it. You made the call, you took the steps, you asked for help, and you handled it. Now it's over, and have a great day.
So it's almost, it feels like there was like a little notch in your belt almost, like, okay.
It felt like it because it was such a new experience to take ownership of what I'd done. I pulled my camper into soft sand. I did that. And I also managed to get it pulled out and took the steps to do that, which was very humbling because I'm not one to ask for help, but I wasn't going to be able to do it myself. So that's one of the biggest takeaways, is that I'm capable. I'm much more capable than I ever had occasion to have to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then learning an RV, parts and tanks and water and black tank and gray tank, and it's a whole. It was a learning curve.
It's a culture.
It is. It is its own culture.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many people doing it, from people who are building their own box trucks into sleeping quarters to great big Phaeton diesel pushers. We're all working together at the same place. It doesn't matter. There's no class system in the RV world. I think the sense of adventure that everyone shares overshadows what you have and what you don't have.
That's really fascinating. I mean, as a social worker, that really piques my interest in terms of it's like a melting pot, and no one's saying, look at my fancy RV, and you only have an old RV.
And nobody sits in their $600,000 diesel pusher looking down on the girl with the 1989 Terry Resort. It just doesn't happen because you're all there because you signed up for it, and it's a neighborhood. There are different kinds of people in every neighborhood. But it's really, that's one of the major pros.
I had not considered that before. That is really fascinating because there's so few places in the U.S. where classes mix anymore. Mm-hmm. It's very segregated by if you have means, you go here and do these things, and if you don't, you go to this beach or that, park or whatever. It's very clear, and that I did not know that about the RV world, and I could see that being a real draw.
It was a surprise. I had not factored that in my research, and it never came up in any of the videos that I watched, but it was something I discovered after doing it for 2 or 3 years.
I notice you have an unusual tattoo. Is there a story behind that?
Oh, it's a honeybee, and for me, it represents vitality and perseverance, being a critical part of the whole. And it is something my very best friend and I, Elisa, and I both got bees. We'd been friends for 37 years, and she got a bumblebee and I got a honeybee, and that's what that means.
So this is important for you, the perseverance.
Very much so. It was not something that was really part of my repertoire, because if I could get somebody else to do it for me, I was happy to do that. So I feel like I've gained some character refinement in this adventure that was completely unexpected and very delightful.
Self-reliance. And I can sort of see when you talk about it, there's a certain kind of glow of pride that you have.
I love it. I really enjoy it. To this day, I still can't back my own camper up. But to my delight, that's what pull-through sites are for, and friends that you travel with. Thank you. And sometimes I have to do it. And it's not pretty, but I'll give it the old college try, and I might be diagonal in a spot, but it is what it is.
It almost sounds like it might sort of blend into this. Is there a spiritual aspect of this for you?
It's primarily a spiritual journey for me to try to find out what, it occurs to you at some point that you maybe don't have a real handle on what it is you really love in life, other than travel. After stepping away from my marriage, I had to redefine what all of that meant, or live a lesser life for me. And having done that has shaped the way my future's going to look now, in accordance with those passions and the things that I love, which I have taken the time to identify and little by little incorporate into a lifestyle rather than just a vacation. Does that make sense?
This word is overused, but you become very intentional in your choices.
Yes. I know it's a buzzword, but there is something to it. Once I made the commitment in 2016 to start researching it, and the decision was made to do it and take the steps that it required in 2017, I didn't leave until May 2019. I had an 1,800 square foot house full of stuff, and I didn't have a vehicle that would handle any camper. So literally from scratch to the little camper that I got, I ultimately upgraded to a larger camper, and it was an exercise that I had never had to exercise before.
What did it feel like to go through your stuff? Because I'm guessing, sort of gleaning, that you had some nice stuff.
I did. And I pared down from an 1,800 square foot house to a 600 square foot apartment. And that was a cleansing exercise. And it shocked me what I was looking at, going, there's no way you can take this on this journey. If you're serious about it, you can't take, a bunch of designer clothes and pumps. It's just not.
I think you would get a reputation pretty quickly in the RV world.
Yeah, that's not the vibe I wanted to share. Not a lot of janitors out there. And so it just became, do you love it or don't you love it? And I realized, clothes and shoes and bags and just stuff that I'd accumulated that I thought I had to have. I realized you don't really need that. You don't need a whole set of dishes. You just need a pot, a pan, and silverware and paper plates. And so it was a cleansing exercise to get out of the house. It was a cleansing exercise to then pare down from 600 square feet to a 14-foot camper. But by that time, I was so excited about it that it didn't seem like an effort at all. I was happy to get rid of it.
You were moving towards that goal rather than, I'm losing all my really lovely
my stuff,
purses. And I love that, the pumps.
Yeah, it's just not a look you need as a full-time RVer. Not a good look.
What do you have? You have jeans, you have, what do you have?
I keep 2 dresses. I have 1 pair of nice shoes in nude that match everything. And that's all I really need as far as extenuating circumstances. And like you said, yes, jeans, t-shirts. You go to all these excellent places, you want to get some neat souvenirs. Functional must be the priority. Caps, baseball caps, t-shirt, coffee mug, because coffee is very important. And other than that, you catch yourself buying or thinking about buying things you just know you don't need or love. And stopping yourself from doing that is it's a humbling experience, as you realize, oh goodness, what did I think I needed something like that for?
Because you're brainwashed, just like all of us.
It's true. You are. The more you have, the more relevant you are. Relevance is in the eye of the beholder.
So we were talking about your interest in sharing your adventures, and maybe you have a photojournalist history, or training, I should say, education. How do you imagine that looking?
Work in progress. I love the idea of using my writing skill to communicate the value of this lifestyle to people who are genuinely interested in it. I like the podcast forum. I utilize it all the time, and for entertainment, driving.
Are there particular podcasts that you love?
The podcasts that I continue to watch are actually couples that were on the road in 2017, and then when COVID hit, they ended up buying property, and they were young people and having children and stuff. So I'm watching them as their life currently is, but it was initially them that inspired me, Eamon and Beck and the nomadic movement and nomadic fanatic, creativity RV.
Oh, great names.
they all were big influences. And, they're all off doing their thing now. And I'm still thoroughly enjoying this. So as long as that's the case, I'm in.
Are there any, so are those YouTube channels?
Yes.
Okay, YouTube channels. Are there any just audio podcasts that you listen to?
Eamon and Beck have a production podcast where it's visual. There aren't a lot that are, but it makes perfect sense when you're just listening to it in the car. So there's that.
Do you have any ideas what your name might be as you move forward in the media world?
Oh, I have no clue. No clue. It's still just a burgeoning idea. But I really, I've worked for the whole 6.5 years. I would really like to do something that I can do from anywhere remotely. And that's what I'm seeking now.
I wanted to call out Retirement Rebel because this is a woman I've recently connected with who's doing a similar thing in the UK. And so there'll be some nice connections going on there. So a shout out to Siobhan. Where can people find you if they want to message you or say, hey, tell me about that obscure trailer that you and Sue were talking about? Where might they find a place to message or contact you?
They can reach me at kathymac8380@gmail.com. And I'd be happy to hear from you.
Oh, I love that. And you also have a Facebook.
I do, but I don't know the URL for that.
I think it is Kathy Macdonald. Is that possible?
That is my, yes.
Yes.
I thought you were looking for a long...
No. Yeah. And I'll put that in the
Kathy
show
Macdonald,
notes.
and-
Yeah, I'll put that in the show notes. So people can just message you and say, I heard the podcast episode and I'm here and let's have a coffee or something.
Absolutely. Reach out.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Thank you so much for being in this beautiful place. We have bird song. We have beautiful fauna all over.
Wildflowers everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
So beautiful.
So beautiful. It's been such a lovely happenstance to have Sue connect us.
Thank you. It's been delightful to meet you too. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
It's been lovely. Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends.
Our theme song is All I Did Was Wait for You by Kjartan Abel. Visit Kjartan-Abel, that's KJARTAN-Abel, ABEL.com to hear more of Kjartan's work. And our technical director is Stephen Litweiler.
And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest. See you then.